Footage from India, and again, I implore people to go find this, Yalla Habibi, and watch it. The footage from India looks both exhilarating and terrifying at the same time.
That's it. That's what it was.
Yeah. Hey everybody, it's Dave Dyer, and welcome to another episode of Tight 10 with Dave Dyer. My guest today is Connor Bondlow. Connor is a content creator? Would that be correct, Connor?
Sure thing, Dave.
Okay, for FortNine, which is a power sports supplier, marine supplier in Canada, but they all do all sorts of fantastic content on the internet. He was also part of a FortNine team that broke the record for the overland circumnavigation of the globe by motorcycle on land with a time of 16 days, 23 hours, and 27 minutes. The total distance of that trip was 21,059 kilometers. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Connor Bondlow. Hey, Connor.
Thanks, Dave. How you doing, man? Excited to be here.
I'm doing very well. Thank you. I was thrilled to death. I put a message out to Instagram to you because I follow you on Instagram. You don't have a lot of posts, but you're on Instagram, and you checked it. And you said, I said, hey, I do this podcast. I watch your guys' stuff. I absolutely love your content. I would love to talk to you. And you said, let's do this. Get it scheduled. Let's do this. So before we start the questions, if you could explain to people, because most of the people who listen to the show are in the United States, but what exactly FortNine is and what your guys' focus is.
Sure. So FortNine is, like you said, it's an action sports, power sports supplier and dealer in Canada. And we sell parts and accessories and apparel for dirt bikes, motorcycles, snowmobiles, mountain bikes, and most recently marine. But we sell that through a different brand, a sister website. It's called Defender Marine. That company's been around since the 30s. They're an old school U.S. company based in Connecticut. And we acquired that company. And so we added another sport. But what a lot of people think FortNine is this one guy named Ryan who makes YouTube videos about motorcycle culture, which if you're in the US, that is what it is. 60% of our audience of, I think, 2.35 million people are in the States. And because our content isn't really commercialized, it would just appear that that's the extent of what we do. But it is funded by FortNine, the Canadian online retailer. So we're all getting paychecks from those guys, and we're making videos for the fans, and we have a pretty, as far as I can tell, I've never really seen any other corporate business giving their creatives as little oversight as we have. They really trust us. And Ryan, over the past 10, 12 years, has turned this channel into something that's art, that's artistic, that's a lot of these videos are timeless. And his writing is the reason I left my career in the mountain bike industry to work for him.
Yeah, I love the fact that I did a little bit of research. If I'm not mistaken, FortNine is headquartered actually in Montreal, correct? Yeah. And you guys are way over in British Columbia.
That's right.
So it's almost like you guys stay over there, just let us do our thing over here. And,
Ryan was a copywriter living in Montreal, and he was just writing the product descriptions on the website. And he's a highly intelligent person, and from a really smart family. And he, I think, was underutilized as a copywriter. And they decided to do product review videos and move him into that role. And the writing was just wonderful, and he's got a great countenance and personality on screen. And he just sort of garnered his own audience. And then when he and his wife wanted to move out west, they just said, hey, keep working for us. So he started his own office out here. And that grew over the course of a few years, and I'm lucky enough to be a part of it. It's only 6 guys in North Vancouver right now, and I think there's about 300 employees back in Montreal, and then we've also got a warehouse in Calgary with around 10 people working there too. So business is growing.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go. Very well. Very good. All right, here we go. Question number 1.
Yeah.
This is based on the fact that I've noticed when you first started with FortNine, you were doing a lot of motorcycle stuff like that. And then when you guys took on the Defender thing, since then, you've been doing a lot of the Marine videos. So I'm going to ask you, my first question is always a this or that. Motorcycles or boats? Which do you prefer and why?
Boats now. They're feeding me. I'm catching a ton of fish. I'm catching a ton of prawns, crabs, oysters, gooseneck barnacles. Like it is a delicious new lifestyle. And I'm not saying I got my fill of motorcycles by any means, but I may have pushed my luck on that trip around the world, so I'm taking a nice break right now. And I still get out on my DR up to the lakes and stuff on the weekends, and I'm staying off road as much as possible. But right now I'm full throttle on the water.
Yeah, I love the fact watching you guys. I know you guys have taken some of these small boats and things like that and modified them to use them for your purposes, and it's just a blast to watch you guys get out there. I think the last one I watched, you just put one out a few days ago where you did some prawn tacos and things like that. And
yep, that was fun. That's just something that we do, and we had a shipment that's late because we want to restore an old speedboat. And we're waiting for all the material, and the shipment's late. So we said, what are we going to do? Said, well, if we weren't filming, I'd probably just go out and make some tacos on the beach anyway. So let's film it, and it was great. We had people walking their dogs, coming in, eating tacos with us, and it's when the weather's bad, people kind of hunker down. But if you go out onto the beach and start cooking, people come out of their caves, and it was a good time. Yeah.
I like you made the margarita and the little Milwaukee thing.
Yeah. I'm not. It tasted okay. I rinsed it out first. I was a little worried it was going to taste, like plastic, but no, it's good.
Yeah.
It's really good. Yeah.
You got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so question number 2. As you mentioned, let me get his name right, Kluftinger, right? Is that how you say Ryan's last name?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, and then also Edwin is it Albino?
It's albino, yeah.
Albino.
It's almost albino, but not. Yeah.
Okay, so you guys set the overland circumnavigation record for going around the globe on motorcycles.
Right.
First of all, before we even get into this a second, what a trooper Edwin is for riding on the back of Ryan's motorcycle around the world and filming this whole thing. Unbelievable. Yes. The acrobatics that had to be involved in doing that are just crazy.
He's an incredible athlete. He's a mountaineer and a climber. And he just has the perfect strength to weight ratio to be able to grip a bike with his legs and then film and and track a target. It reminds me of like when you see those photos of Mongolian archers off horseback, right? Except he's just trying to get the shot, but hang on with full control on his legs. And he had plenty of time in the first 4 days in the U.S. to practice, but I actually barely rode with him on the back of my bike. I was taking all the equipment, and Ryan was more comfortable having Edwin on the bike. Admittedly, I was so terrified of crashing that I was like, it's just going to be me if I go down,
Well, there's the portion of the movie, and again, for folks, I'm gonna hit this a million times. Yalla Habibi, people can go to Vimeo, they can pay for it, they can go to, I think they probably get through the FortNine website, but please go watch this. I think it was $10 to rent it, and you can watch it as many times as you want. Thanks, and it's fantastic. But the part that I was amazed by is that I keep thinking they're going to lose Edwin is when you guys were going across Australia on all these dirt roads, which I'm sure there were probably sandy parts of it and things like that. And I'm thinking that stuff takes enough focus with one person on a motorcycle, let alone having somebody on the back of your bike.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what was possible on those bikes because I'd done a ton of long hauls in training the year leading up to it, ridden down to California and up north, and I'd put the miles in, so I knew how to manage my body for endurance in that with those types of hours. But I didn't know what those bikes were capable of off-road. And, we had street tires and a ton of power. So that means you're just going to break traction if you're not careful, or otherwise. And, but I just kind of follow Ryan. I'm just like, I trust the guy. He's a very calculated rider. We both took the same training course with Advanced Rider Training on Vancouver Island with Ryan Austin. Okay. He trains all the motorcycle police officers in Canada on big beamers. And so I had the had the skills, but not off road, and not with 40 gallons of gas off the back of my bike as well. 40 liters. Nice. Sorry.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, it was sketchy. I went down a couple of times off road in the sand, but it was sand, luckily. And again, luck was the name of the game with that trip. I mean, forget everything else. We timed our flights and we made them all 10 flights in a row. And I've never done that in my life. I don't know anyone who has. So the fact
I can't believe you guys were able to stick to the logistics. That's one of the things I kept thinking about, is the amount of coordination and organization that had to have gone into it.
Yeah, I mean, my job was planning the route, and that was crazy. And it was mostly a guideline, something we're just trying to hang on to, as our planned route, as where we're supposed to be moved through the timeline. You just try and keep catching up to that, so to speak. But there was one flight that was late, and we needed it to be later. We wouldn't have made it. And I think that Ducati was huge for us. I mean, there's something that I think, if you haven't heard of this yet, the thing that is the hardest to get my head around is the record that we quote broke. I would say we more established a new one, because the people that previously broke the record or set records, they did more mileage than we did. They had more borders open to them at that point. Julia and Kevin Sanders, the first ones to set it, they were able to ride through India, through Myanmar, and just do more in the Middle East and that kind of thing. And because of the political climate, we weren't able to do that. But we counted our travel time. So everybody else who's done it up until now, they stopped the clock at the airport. They'd chill, they'd pack their bikes and that kind of thing. And we had new bikes at every airport, but we didn't stop. We slept on the planes. And so that I think we did a little less mileage, but we did it door to door. And so that's kind of what we decided.
It was more of a race atmosphere. It was more of we're getting this done. We're getting this whole thing done as fast as we can. No breaks.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that Ryan and Edwin were counting on drama. I suspect they were counting on me cracking, which is why I didn't, because I did not care about the record. I thought the riding itself, other than India, which was so awesome, the riding itself was just on the highway, looking at gas stations, going through all these amazing places all over the world and not enjoying them. And so I was cynical and pissed off. And I think that the main thing is just like, I'm not going to quit. That's the one thing I'm not going to do. So that's what kept me going. Whereas Edwin and Ryan's just, I mean, I don't know. He's just sort of a robot, man. I mean, he's unshakable. And he's the guy who will walk into the office and his eyes will be bleeding and he'll just be sneezing and coughing. And he's like, I'm not sick, I'm fine. So he's just sort of in denial the whole time.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like, if I don't let it out, I'll explode. So I'm a lot more emotive. And then Edwin, of course, is just in a completely different state of mind because he's just hanging on. He's rolling cigarettes and FaceTiming his girlfriend and shooting, and he's like looking for the beauty of the moment, and he's doing his job, but it's a completely different job that requires a totally different frame of mind. And so
it probably has the lowest heart rate of everybody.
I think so. I mean, he's also just crazy in the perfect way and a super tough dude, and so he was just mentally could handle it better than I as well. I kind of went insane and just decided to ride that. You know what I mean? And then Ryan really just sort of held it together. And I honestly, I forget what the original question was. I'm getting on autopilot, and tripping back down.
To be honest with you, I haven't gotten to the actual question yet. But this is great. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
The one thing I loved is watching the dynamic between you and Ryan, and perfectly understandable dynamics for what you guys are doing, because Ryan, from the perspective of watching it, was very much of just keep going, we'll figure it out later. We'll ask, we'll wait, we're going until they ask questions. And you were much more of the person who's, are you sure we should be doing this? This doesn't seem like we should be doing this. Let's do this, And it was, that dynamic was just so fun to watch, to where you started to kind of know that Ryan's just going to go and wait till somebody says something. Yep. And you are going to be thinking, we probably shouldn't be doing this, or at least
I
doing
just
it this
never.
way.
First of all, I never thought we could do it. Like I planned the route, and they didn't really look at the route. Edwin doesn't know. I mean, if we plan, Edwin's from Lebanon, and he's really well traveled. But like, if you planned a route through the Middle East, I'd read all the cities, but wouldn't know where they were, wouldn't remember. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like when we first crossed the border, we're in a town called Blaine, Washington. There's nothing there, and he just looks around. And he goes, "Oh, is this Seattle?" I was like, no, dude, it's not Seattle. And like, we're not going through Seattle. And you don't even know what Seattle looks like. It's crazy. So like immediately I was like, oh, these guys didn't even look at the route, which means they don't care, which means this whole thing's kind of a joke. And I've been like losing sleep for a year over this project. And so I was the one who planned the Gantt chart and was looking at it and was like, this is impossible because we're going to have multiple like 30 plus hours of constant riding with 3-minute stops at gas stations. Like, can't do that. But we just did it. And it just kept happening. And then I'm like, my dad's like, hey, where you at now? And I'm like, dude, we're on pace. He's like, what? And I was like, we made the flight. We have to keep going. So that's when I started to freak out a little bit because I was like, oh no, like this we can do it and it's gonna really suck versus we can't do it, so we can just chill and shoot a funny documentary about how we tried and failed,
Yeah. That's great. I loved it. Okay, so here's the actual question. I know you guys went to several different motorcycle manufacturers to see if they wouldn't want to be involved, and almost everybody, except obviously Ducati, said, no, we're not interested. You're not going to make it. We don't want our name tagged to that.
Right.
But Ducati said, yes, let's do this, because I think partially because of their race heritage and their desire to do these kind of things. And then they beautifully set up for things for you around the globe, and as far as having bikes ready for you when you got to a certain location. Right. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the bikes you guys wrote were the Multistrada V4 rallies, correct?
Correct.
Okay, give me one thing you loved about the bikes and one thing you didn't like about the bikes, if you're comfortable saying that.
Absolutely. I loved the adaptive cruise control. And that's coming from a guy. My motorcycle's basically a lawnmower. Like I'm not.
So is mine.
I'm a low tech dude,
Yep.
But on this trip, what do you ride?
I had DR 650, same as you.
Perfect. Yeah, same here. Yep. So I'm like, that kind of thing. I'm like, give me a break. It was absolutely crucial on this trip because we had to look at our phones or eat or take painkillers or something. We had to do something and we couldn't stop. So when that would happen, we'd kind of form up with Ryan in front of me or vice versa and set our adaptive cruise control to pace the car in front of whatever car is in front of us at the maximum distance. And then we could kind of like look down for a second. And if we happened to look down at the time when something would happen up front and the car would do a brake check, we'd get a little blip from our bike adapting to that and dropping the cruise control, and that would give us a warning to look up and deal with something. And that saved our asses 1,000 times. Also, just to be able to like put the cruise control on and just rest your hands and just kind of like do this or twist your throttle arm or something like that. Like that, it was absolutely massive. I did not like the headlights. The headlights were hard to adjust and not bright enough. And I think that it makes sense that they don't come with crazy auxiliary lights out of the box, but I think they're probably assuming that most of the people who bought this bike would load it with giant, light cannons. So that was tricky. At night it was tough because I a few times I thought it was the lights, but I'm also starting to think maybe it was just my brain and my eyes just weren't
because you guys were talking about hallucinating a lot and things like that at a certain point.
We were hallucinating.
Yeah.
And I pulled some all-nighters in college and sort of thought maybe that'd be the silver lining of that and never got to see anything cool. And on this trip, I'm like, oh, that is real. Yeah, so that was a little freaky.
Yep. All right, so question number 3. In regards to the whole trip, and then we're going to move on to some other topics as well, but in regards to the whole trip, tell me about the scariest moment of that whole trip, and was there any point where you looked at Ryan or thought to yourself, even though I know you said you're going to fight through it, did you ever at any point think about looking at him and going, I just want to go home. I don't want to do this?
So I never wanted to go home. I never wanted to quit. But I think that was where it came from, was because when one time we were in India and we had a little bit of time, or we were taking a little bit of time, and we were in a place, I think in the movie it's where there were ants, where I couldn't lay down.
Yeah, you were sitting down and there were ants all biting you.
And it was like looking around and being like, I can't lay down anywhere. I can't sit on my bike. Like there was like, alarm bells were going off like in the submarine when there's a leak.
Yeah.
And there was no nothing, you can't do anything. And so I remember walking into a restaurant and just asking the guy like, hey, can I just lay down here for a second? Like imagine you're just in a restaurant at a cafe and some guy, basically dude dressed like a robot, walks in and is like, can I just lay down on the floor of your restaurant? And the guy's like, no, get out of here. My shit was just so not together. And I remember thinking that I might just have to sort of pass out like on the street. So that was almost like, it wasn't like I want to go home. It was like I want to stop and sleep and lose the record, basically. So it was sort of like, I think I'm willing to quit making the checkpoints and skip a flight and then meet Ryan at the next spot, because my mindset was I'm the spare bike.
Yeah.
This is Ryan's plan, Ryan's mission. He wants to make his mark. Originally, this may have been like his last project. He was floating the concept of maybe after this, I'm gonna become a novelist or something. I won't speak for him, but like we kind of had the vibe of this. This is really important for him to make his mark in the industry. Maybe it was gonna crack us out of YouTube into filmmaking exclusively. Like we didn't know what this was going to be, but I just knew how much more important it was for him than me.
Yeah.
So I just thought, and I'm not a competitive person. I told you I swam in university, but just because I had good times, I didn't have the grades to go to Cal Poly. I don't care. So I was like, I just got to be there for him. So I'll basically just sleep for a day in India and then fly directly to Australia and meet him and grab the bike and go from there. So I could just be support after that and he could still make the record. So that was something that I did consider. And I think that moment came in India. I don't know if it was before or after we crashed into each other, but there's a moment where I do a delivery to the camera in the hotel room. And that was what I was calculating in that moment.
Yeah. The footage from India, and again, I implore people to go find this, Yalla Habibi, and watch it. The footage from India looks both exhilarating and terrifying at the same time.
That's it. That's what it was.
Yeah.
My mom was a flight attendant for Pan Am, and she went to India a lot, and her stories were dark. And so my concept of what I thought I was going to see was scary, and then I wasn't even really thinking about the riding. And luckily we had Anish, who was Ryan's videographer and editor and director for a long time. He helped build FortNine into what it is, just as much as Ryan. I mean, those two guys together made it happen. And he is from Pune, and so he speaks at least one of the languages, and he'd ridden in Mumbai before. So he met us there, and he rode point, and I was like, okay, what do I need to know? And he's kind of like, you just have to do this. Like, it's so insane that I can't even tell you, and just follow me and do what I do. And launching out of Ducati Mumbai into the shit behind him and seeing what he did immediately and how he sort of like was just kicking stuff and screaming at guys, making sure he got eye contact with truck drivers, and seeing how everyone's kind of terrified because it's not like there are rules and everyone's breaking them. There's just nothing. If there are rules, no one's been taught them. So it's a school of fish reacting to each other.
There's a point where Ryan and Edwin are passing a semi, or what would we call like a semi truck, a large truck on the left on the shoulder of the road, and Edwin is slapping the truck to let the truck driver know that they're there.
That's the move. Yeah, and we all were doing that nonstop. And it's funny because like you'll see the guy. It looks like the guy's 14 years old and he's looking in the mirror and he's freaking out. And he sees you and goes, okay, and they'll move for you. No one wants an incident. Everyone wants it to be over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it reminds me of a mass evacuation.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, people aren't running over each other to save themselves, but it's like damn near close. And it was a hell of a thing. But at a certain point, like I can only be terrified for like 2 hours, and then whatever chemical that is wears off, and then you're just grinning, and it's so fun. You just
Yeah.
like keep getting away with it, keep getting away with it. I don't know. It's kind of like in an arcade game where like you should have died like 10 moves ago, and it keeps speeding up, and you're like, holy shit, I'm actually making it to the end. Like it's like
I think I'm getting good at this.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and then I think at any point in time it would just be lights out, but we got really lucky. I don't know. It was a hell of a thing, and that's the place. Even though it was the scariest one, that's the place I'd like to go back to first.
Oh,
Not to
I can
Mumbai,
imagine.
but to Eastern India, like the Bengali region. It's like Jungle Book and right up to the Himalayas. That's a bucket list for me now.
Yeah, that would be great. All right, question number 4. As we talked a little bit before we started filming, and one of the things I mentioned to you is one of the great things about watching you guys and your content on YouTube is that while you are working for this company that sells all this power sports and marine equipment, and while certainly some of that stuff is mentioned in the videos, it's not like a product placement or product push on stuff.
Right.
You guys really focus on the lifestyle, whether it's motorcycling, mountain biking, fishing, boating, anything like that. Your videos are very much focused on the lifestyle just to get people involved in doing it. And then hopefully they'll buy stuff later. But also, one thing I love most specifically about the videos that you do, and Josh, who is one of the newer guys who has come on and doing some videos, is that you guys also show some of the flaws. One of my favorite things is I think there was a video you put out recently where you were working on a boat motor, and there was something you had to do to it, and I think 2 or 3 different times you guys said you had done it wrong and you had to kind of redo it. And the thing I love about that is that every one of us out there, when we work on our motorcycles or whatever, that's exactly what happens. You
Yeah.
get everything put back together and you're like, oh shit, I put that one part in backwards.
Yeah. I'm
But
glad
anyway,
you like that.
The question is, who kind of directed the focus for the content to be like that? Is that from Ryan's initial planning of the videos?
So Ryan is all about finding what people are best at and guiding them to focus and kind of bottle it, if that makes sense. And so when Ryan hired me, I spent about a year doing props and set design. I'm originally an artist and designer, and so I was trying to give that to the channel, and I was learning a lot about motorcycle mechanics at the time. I was sourcing bikes, fixing them. One of my first gigs was making a dirt bike be able to go underwater, so like snorkeling the carburetor and stuff. It was so fun, and figuring out wiring and that kind of thing. So it's basically a giant crash course on mechanics through the props department.
Okay.
Which was just me and this awesome dude named Augustin. And so that was what we were doing first. And then I think Ryan noticed, oh, Connor's good at this stuff. He's good at working with his hands. He's good at problem solving. It's hilarious when he messes up. And so he was saying, just do that. And then when Ryan started having kids regularly. And he was, we need to keep the quota. And he was taking a lot of time off. And so they convinced me to step in front of the camera. Now, I'm the first person out of every FortNine fan that would be furious if somebody else walked in front of the camera who wasn't Ryan. And I was like, this isn't a good idea. There's no reason to. At that point, Ryan would do maybe one video every 2 months, but it would be a masterpiece. And I was like, just don't stop doing this. And I just didn't want to be part of the beginning of the end. You know what I mean? And and so that's when Ryan's like, well, what do you like and what do you want to do? And I like sci-fi and I like weirding people out. And so we created this mechanic that's a clone, like a character, kind of like in Top Gear we have the Stig. So we were just like, let's make him, like, forget my name. No one cares about my name. I don't want people Googling it, not because I care about privacy or whatever, but just because there's nothing there. And let's just have a jumpsuit. And the jumpsuit was originally because it was all kind of pragmatic. Like, originally the jumpsuit was because Ryan's like, hey, if I could do it over again, I'd wear the same thing every day. So that way I don't have to have one change of clothes I have to keep wearing them while we're shooting all week. It's like, okay, a jumpsuit, that's cool. I'll kind of be like a mechanic because I want to work on stuff anyway. And then we did this DIY anodizing video, and it's a really big deal. It was dangerous. I was pretty cool with it. Our camera guy at the time was terrified. But if you mix the acid and the water in the wrong way, it'll blow up. So we're like, let's just do that and blow it up and have him die, and then he can come back and just have be the next iteration, number 44. We started with 43. It's my lucky number, and I think it worked out again for us here because people liked that. They didn't know what to do with it. And so it wasn't like if I saw somebody else come out, it's like, hey, I'm Connor and you don't know me and I'm going to do this now. I'd be like, nope. But if it was like, hey, I just died and like there's weird lights and sounds and this is like, I just want it to be an addition, a little bit of like hot sauce to the mix. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that I think was as well received as it could be, but I was still struggling with writing articulately, eloquently, and presenting it without sounding like I was trying to be like Ryan. And he sort of beat that out of me over the course of a couple of videos where I would be reading a script to him and we'd be reviewing it, and I'd kind of say something complicated and then look at him and be like, so what I'm saying is like this and this and this. And he'd be like, dude, just say it like that. Just say what you talk, like how you talk. And so it sort of got to the point where all of my projects became just more documentary style, and it not improvisational, I guess, but more like filming what's actually happening. So now my scripts are, this is what I'd love to happen on this trip, and we shoot for that, and then very quickly it goes wrong and we rewrite while we're out there, and then when we get back after all of it, that's when we usually shoot the conclusion and the intro, because we like to say what you're going to see and then say what you saw in the beginning and the end. But and Robin, our videographer and director now, he's very well seasoned in documentary and run and gun shooting. So it's been, and he's also absolute asset in the workshop and underwater. Like he's a weapon. So it's really fun to work with him and do things that way. And I think it's, like Clarkson's Farm's a great example. He's not good at that stuff, and he's learning nonstop, and it's relatable. And particularly in the marine industry, boats are inaccessible. Most of what the boat content that's out there, there's not a lot. It's a very small thing in YouTube. It's just like a beautiful couple and their beautiful children on a boat you'll never be able to afford in a place you'll never visit, and it's visually appealing, but it's not relatable. It's intimidating, and ultimately I think people just don't connect with it, and they also don't really learn anything. I mean, you could tell me how how some really expensive systems work on a yacht, and it could be interesting because technology is inherently just impressive. But I think what I've found from a lot of the salty dudes I've met in the boatyard and the marina here in Squamish who become FortNine fans is it's nostalgic. They go, oh man, I remember when I tried to do that for the first time and I had to throw in the towel and tuck my balls in between my legs and go to the mechanic. It's just like that kind of thing. And so I think people, whereas I feel like a bit of a poser because I'm presenting information that I just learned, it's the flip side. People appreciate it. And so I've been really lucky because I get to learn these things and have a fulfilling project at the end of the day. And people like to watch. So it's really special. We'll see how long it lasts.
Yeah, see, I love that aspect about it. Like you say, that you just learned something, you're trying to present it, you're trying to sound confident about it. I've been on this planet, I'm guessing, quite a bit longer than you have, and what you learn is that nobody really knows what the hell they're doing in any aspect of life. They don't.
Right.
I mean, a lot of people pull it off, but at the root of it, most people don't have a clue what the hell they're doing. Anyway,
that is refreshing. I know you're probably an EMT, though, so I think there's some aspects where we can trust each other. Yeah.
Yes, I am an EMT. All right. Also, okay, so the next question is kind of a silly one.
Yeah.
You're flipping channels. Forget the fact that streaming exists. You're flipping channels. The World's Fastest Indian is on, a motorcycle movie.
Yep.
The Perfect Storm, boats. And Planes, Trains, and Automobiles are on all at the same time. Which one of those three movies do you watch and why?
So I'm flipping through the channels, but I come in at the beginning of each of them.
Yeah, or wherever you
I'd like to watch. So Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, I haven't seen enough in a long time, and right now, because you said it, I mean, I love John Candy, and I'm an aspiring Canadian right now, so that I might choose that one just to keep assimilating into the culture up here. That one might be educational, but Fastest Indian, I'd love to watch again after all the motorcycle stuff that I've done, because the first time I saw that, I hadn't really been on, I hadn't ridden as many bikes, and so it might be cool to see how accurate maybe, or just how what it means to a motorcycle rider versus just a fan of Anthony Hopkins. So Yeah, that would be my number 1, 2, and 3 then, I guess. Yeah.
So Perfect Storm last.
Perfect Storm last. Yeah, I mean that's just a stressful movie when that's
It
the one
is.
where he says goodbye to his wife through the glass, I believe.
Yeah.
Or was that White Squall?
No, I think that's the one. Clooney's
Yeah.
Boston accent is stressful in that one too, because
Yeah.
kind of goes in
yeah.
and out of it a little bit. So it's
Yeah, I know. That's funny. I know. I think that I think it was either Perfect Storm or Storm or White Squall. Sheldon was the name of the actual guy that went through it, and he lived in my neighborhood in Connecticut growing up.
oh wow.
He was the dude, the widower from the whole thing. It was kind of this like you'd pass by his house and be like, oh, that's the guy. Yeah. Anyway,
Shh, be quiet. Be quiet.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Question number 6. We are both owners of Suzuki DR650s. I have a 2012. I don't know what years yours is.
97.
Great bike, bulletproof. You can mess with it, and it just still keeps running and running and running. Tell me about your history with that bike and what your favorite adventure that you ever did on it is.
I'm so excited to answer this. Yeah. So when I was looking for the right bike for where I live, I knew that I wanted it to be serviceable on my own. I wanted to be able to find parts anywhere I was where I may have broken down, and I wanted a bike that had a good support network for people who like to do their own work, a good community. And there's a lot of bikes that fit that bill. Well, not a lot, but there are several that fit that bill. What I should have done is sat on a few more of them first. I probably should have gone with an XR because I'm so tall.
Okay.
And
now, for those people who don't know, that's the Honda XR. Are you talking the Honda XR 650?
XR650R, if I could have found one with a plate that was grandfathered in, the little off-roadier version, but I probably would have wound up with an L, and I would have had a lot less work to do out of the gate to make it fit. Because the way I got my chops up working on the thing, the DR, was modifying everything to make it actually fit me. But I just loved working on it. I mean, coming from mountain bikes and then seeing mountain bikes become less and less serviceable as they become motorized. I was missing the hacky mechanic flavor of yesteryear. I was missing like trying to bend things and grind them down to make them fit, or trying to basically have what I wanted to do with it dictate how I built it. Versus now I think the industry in mountain bikes is the industry tells you what you need, versus when I was growing up, the riders would tell the industry what to make. Yeah. And so
that's a lot of industries these days.
Yeah. And so I was missing that, and I found it again with motorcycles. And so the DR checked all my boxes, and I found it, and they're cheap and they're everywhere. And I found one that actually bought sight unseen, and it showed up I had to go pick it up at a train station. I just talked to this guy, Randy, out in, I think, Lethbridge, and I just got him on the phone. I've done this rolled the dice a few times. I think I'm a pretty good judge of character, but I had enough phone conversations with him that I trusted him, and I just sent him some cash, and he sent me a bike, and it showed up, and it was just glorious. And so
nice.
I got it for like $2,800 Canadian, and Lord knows how much I put into it afterward, but I really enjoyed working on it. And I did probably the biggest investment was the Mojave, the Cogent Mojave shock.
Oop.
Which was so worth it. It totally transformed the bike. But after that, the front suspension was a little bit it was imbalanced, if you will.
Okay.
It was from Cogent Dynamics, and it's awesome.
Okay.
I would recommend it. And then so that was the most expensive thing that I did, and then I did some stuff to the their DDC valves to the fork and that kind of thing, and a bunch of little upgrades here and there. But the headlight was pretty fun. That was like 4 or 5 different parts where I kind of built this headlight guard after an old KX 500 enduro bike that I saw had something similar. And we drag our bikes through a lot of mud and stuff up here, so having a place to grab onto it on the nose of the thing was really helpful. But I'd say the deepest I ever got into it was I blew up a third gear and got it out to replace it before finding actually another donor motor. And I also blew a piston at one point and had the cylinder replaced, and then put a high compression piston, which either I didn't set it up right or I just wasn't really feeling the benefits. I don't really recommend that. I'd probably just do a big bore if I was going to mess with anything that like that in the top end. But you can do all this stuff. And I think I bought a 97 F250 with the 7.3 diesel in there for the same reasons. Like 1997, man. I just love working on things from that era, and they have such big communities, and parts are cheap and they're everywhere. So yeah, I love this bike, but I will admit that I almost sold it recently because a border guard recognized me and asked if I still had it. And I was really nervous crossing the border because I had some stuff in the truck that was of questionable origin.
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm sweating. And then he shows up, he goes, "Hey, dude, I know you. You still have that DR? Is it for sale?" And I was like, I should just sell it to this guy because he was so stoked. And anyway, but no. And then I went back to ride it to check it out and make sure it was good for sale. And then I was like, what am I doing? I'm not selling this thing. So I'll have that bike forever.
I used to have another bike as well. And what happens is you just kind of take a look at your life and you go, you know what? I really only have time for one motorcycle. And there was no question about which one I was going to keep. I was keeping the DR. It was just... I just love, the torquiness of it. I've got an FMF exhaust on it, and the sound is, I just love the sound of it. And
that torquiness is something I think, like I was looking at a 1990 XR 650R. It had a rear drum brake, which I wasn't too stoked on, but those bikes are just so much lighter with basically equivalent horsepower, and they look great and they fit. So I was thinking about getting that thing, but on the DR, you can just kind of crack it and crawl, which really helps where we're at, which I don't know if that's the best form for off-roading, but it's nice to be able to do that in these sort of steep, loose, rocky situations where I live, getting up to these lakes and stuff. And so with like a fresh knobby D606, you just kind of crack it, you can just rock crawl up stuff, and it's really fun. So, but I'm with you. I mean, especially when you have 5 tiny, crappy boats on your lawn, one motorcycle is really nice to just work on one.
Just have the one thing. All right. Question number 7. Obviously, you're very entrenched in working for FortNine. Do you have another career? Is there another career that you think you would be successful at, and something else you would have enjoyed if you'd taken a different path? Something else you would have enjoyed doing? What would that have been?
Without kind of, without tooting my own horn, I mean, I was an artist, and I don't do it as much as I should anymore. Pen and ink, I really like. I've been working with these Copic markers recently. They're kind of like they're an expensive Japanese brush pen where you can kind of blend colors, and they're awesome. And art has always been my sort of you find your gift and share it with the world kind of thing. And I've gotten some guilt trips from some former professors, art teachers, about not pursuing it, which is the main thing that's eating at me. It's not necessarily because I miss doing it and haven't, but these, I was a good swimmer, and Ryan likes my scripts, but these people were like, you really should be doing this. And I, for whatever reason, and I've heard this from other creatives, like it sort of just comes out of nowhere, and you got to ride it. You can't like summon it. And so I don't know if I could be as consistently prolific to be able to produce enough. I could market myself. I know how to do that, market products, but which marketing of Yal Habibi was not my gig. But I think that's what I should be doing. My partner's just started selling real estate a couple of years ago, and it's really tough up here, but she's very talented and well connected. And I have always told her, hey, if you start killing it up here and selling houses, maybe I could take a year off and try and get back into the art scene, which I would like to do. I think about that a lot.
Yeah, no pressure, but I'd really like you to do this. You really got to push yourself with the realty thing, so I can.
Hey, could I not work for a while? That'd be great.
All right. Question number 8. I'm going to give you 3 names. Now, listen. I know you're a new Canadian. I don't even know if you're a citizen of Canada, but this is based on the fact that you live in Canada. Okay. I'm going to give you 3 names: Ryan Gosling, Ryan Reynolds, Keanu Reeves. Here's the scenario. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, who we love, decides to leave politics and go back to the private sector because he finally sat down, scratched out the numbers, and realized how much more money he made in banking. However, Somehow, upon his departure, he has gotten something passed that says that one of these three names that I gave you must be the next Prime Minister of Canada, and it's going to go to a vote to the people. Which one of those do you vote for, and why? Ryan Gosling, Ryan Reynolds, Keanu Reeves.
Okay. Gosling's out. Not because anything's wrong with the guy, but the other two, I just don't know anything about his business acumen or his moral fiber, which I know about the other two. I love Ryan Gosling. Drive was incredible, but and of course he is Canadian, but he's out. So I would say, judging what I know about Ryan Reynolds and how he and his team are just incredibly successful with business, how he decided to, rather than just be a spokesperson for a company like Mint Mobile, he just bought the company and started producing the advertising himself. And he just sort of flipped. He's kind of like Reese Witherspoon and a couple other actors that have really just sort of taken charge of their own brand and made some incredible business moves. I think that he could be really good for the Canadian economy because he just has this this vehicle behind him, and he seems like a decent dude, and he's Canadian as well. Keanu's not Canadian, is he?
I believe he was born in the Toronto area. Let me Google it a second.
Of course he is. So yeah, Keanu is just legendary for being such a nice dude, and in terms of money, it seems like he doesn't even care about it. I mean, everybody always talks about how he gave all the special effects guys all his money from the Matrix and stuff, and he's lived in a trailer instead of a mansion for a long time. He also rides motorcycles a lot at night with no headlights or helmet, I think. And I think he can identify with people. I don't know. I think I have to say that it would be Reynolds because hey, we're running the country here, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just being
understands
really
the numbers,
great
what
person
affects
isn't enough.
this.
Yeah.
Understands the numbers. This is going to affect this. We'll throw a wrench into it. Keanu Reeves promises an arch motorcycle for everybody in Canada. Does that change your mind?
Well, I've heard a lot of politicians promise stuff. I'd need it in my driveway before I decided to vote. So yeah.
Yep. All right. So there you go, Ryan Reynolds.
Yep.
All right, question number 9. This is the proverbial interview question, whether you're going for a job or if it's something like this. Where do you want to be 5 years from now? As far as whether it's with your career with FortNine, artist, whatever it is, what kind of things do you are on the horizon for you?
Well, I really like the path we're headed in building our own network and community of boaters in British Columbia. It's really fun, but I meet a lot of people who are not just boaters; they're also fabricators or filmmakers. There's a lot of the reason I moved up here was to go on adventures into real wilderness with nothing in front of you and everything behind you. And so I think if I can somehow go on if we can come up with something where we're able to document something that inspires people to get up to this part of the world, and but also that if you're never going to get here, something that you can at least sort of vicariously sort of see through our camera lens about something really amazing up here, and then somehow figure out how to make it worth it for the community to kind of support that, because I'm trying to tie a lot of different things together where everybody that we're involved with kind of gets something out of it, and it's never necessarily any money. It's sort of, when we did that jet boat video, it was we wanted to promote these guys' business because we believe in it and they're great and they're our neighbors, that kind of thing. And also we have an awesome time doing it. And then you read in the comments, people go, "Oh, I want to build a jet boat now." So it's like these. It seems just like, mutually beneficial for everybody involved is always kind of the goal. Useful first, entertaining second, that kind of thing. So I like what we're doing there, but I do want to try to see if we can do more feature film stuff or potentially a series. And I like acting as well, and I like the set deck and props and building and doing art as well. So if I can write a script that includes fine art and visual art with acting, but also have it kind of be real. That's sort of what I'm going for. Have you ever seen a movie called American Animals?
No, I've not seen that.
So this was actually recommended by Ryan, but when he never really watches movies, so I jumped on it right away, and it did not disappoint. But it's a documentary kind of about these students in Kentucky that rob their own university. They steal this book that has a bunch of paintings in it. It's worth like $12 million. So the way that the director decided to tell this story, because each of the actual people involved had different details of what they remembered, so he couldn't really get to the truth. He basically decided to show all of those interviews with the real people like a documentary, but then there was a live action reenactment, kind of like it could have been one episode of a shitty like true crime episode, but instead it was a full length movie with great actors and Hollywood production. So you're half in the reenactment and it's a real film, but then you'd snap back to the real version of each character, and sometimes he'd blend it. He'd have both the actor and the real person that they're portraying in the same car arguing about the memory or something like that. It was wild, and to me it covered everything it could possibly be and gave you a full picture of the entire scenario from every different perspective. And so that was really inspiring to me, because I thought if you watched a 1 hour episode of something on YouTube where there was acting and a through line and a plot, and it was funny and entertaining, but these guys were actually fishing, or they're actually fixing the boat, or something actually explodes or breaks and they fix it, then you'd get both. And I think it would be really hard it seems like a razor's edge you'd have to walk on between this is corny, or the acting's not good enough, or they staged that, or whatever. But if you could actually watch a movie and learn from it, but it had high level art as well, whether it's through the acting or through props or something like that. I want to try and make something like that.
Nice. I'd love it. So I will look that up. American Animals. You highly recommend it then, huh?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, my dad falls asleep during Guardians of the Galaxy, and he stayed up for the whole thing. So you'll love it.
There you go. There you go. All right, last question, number 10. Favorite way to celebrate a win, either professionally or personally? Something great happens, you're like, okay, this was a great thing. This is what I'm going to do.
Can you give me an example of a win?
Well, you broke the record for circumnavigating the globe on a motorcycle. How'd you celebrate that?
Well, I think for me it would probably be a good meal. And like, I kind of call it a debrief. Like, my buddies got married this weekend, and it wasn't really over until they came over for a beer and on a hanging out on the porch and talking about what happened, kind of thing. That kind of wraps it up. So like, I guess you could say just a good meal with whoever was involved, kind of talking about highs and lows of the thing.
Yeah.
My girlfriend always does this thing, rosebud or thorn, where it was like, what was the thorn of the thing that sucked that you want to change next time? What was the rose, like the best part about it? And what was the bud, like the thing that you want to grow and develop for the next one?
That's a great way to look at things.
We'll recap stuff like that, like if we have a win, because a win's a win, but you still it's constant improvement, whatever you're doing. And so I think like basically the analysis of it, which sounds not fun, but like it is fun talking about, recapping kind of thing. That's kind of how I'd like to do it over a ribeye or something.
Every win involves a few steps back, every single one of them. So So all right, well that's it, Connor. That's it.
Thanks, Dave, for the opportunity. It's good getting to know you, man. I love what you're doing. This is really cool. And I think like you said, I'm not super active on Instagram, but the way I got my job with FortNine was just throwing a Hail Mary email out there, and I couldn't not be a part of what you're trying to build. I think it's really great.
I appreciate it. Like I've done stand-up comedy for over 30 years, and it was one of those things like, hey, I'm going to try this new thing called a podcast. Which there's 10 million of them out there. But I love interviewing people, and I was so thrilled that you responded back and to have you on, because I love the content you guys have. The best way for people to find you on Instagram is at Ride or Dive DIVE 45, correct? Is that the handle?
That's me. Yep.
Okay, and then also the FortNine website is fortnine.ca, FortNine.ca. And then again, I implore people, go find Yalla Habibi, YALLA space Habibi, HABIBI. And you can rent it. Like I said, I think it's $10, and then you can watch it as many times as you like. It's about an hour and a half long, and it's
fantastic. We put it on Vimeo, and you can rent it there. It's kind of confusing, but you can also, if you want to join our YouTube Premium, you can join for $10, watch it, and then delete your membership right away because it'll keep auto charging you. So we just tell people, get on there, watch it, delete it, or it'll keep charging you. But I hope everybody enjoys it. Thanks for reminding me to promote that.
You got it. All right. Thanks, Connor. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
take care, and hopefully talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Take care.